Thank you very much, Chairman Schmidt, Ranking Member Welch, members of the subcommittee. It's an honor to appear before you today to discuss free speech and government censorship. We are at a crossroads, in my view, on free speech. The decisions we make today will resonate for generations. For many years, some of us in the free speech community raised alarm over a growing and unprecedented anti-free speech movement in the United States, including growing infrastructure for censorship that stretched across agencies, universities, and corporations. A cottage industry of disinformation experts emerged with millions of dollars funneled to universities and groups to help target or curtail certain viewpoints. This new industry effectively commoditized free speech, and more importantly, monetized censorship. Suddenly, the market was awash with money for those who could offer systems or staff to combat viewpoints deemed misleading or false. The contractors often strove to keep examples of their work out of the public eye. At the University of Michigan, James Park marketed the schools program and noted that it could do what many were searching for by, quote, externalizing the difficult responsibility of censorship. When some of us raised the system in prior testimony, we were met with dismissals from members who insisted there was no proof of any coordination with the government on these efforts. For years, many in Congress opposed every effort to disclose the extent of this cooperation. With the release of the Twitter files and then the Facebook files, that narrative collapsed. Emails showed that government officials directly targeting individuals or groups for censorship and other forms of speech curtailment. We know a great deal now about that system. We also know that the Biden administration made censorship part of its official mission. If you look at CISA's statement alone, CISA's director, Jen Easterly, declared, quote, the most critical infrastructure is our cognitive infrastructure. So suddenly the cognitive infrastructure became the mission of CISA, and they announced that they would focus on misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. By the way, malinformation is, quote, based on fact, but used out of context to mislead, harm, or manipulate. That was one of the three categories targeted by the Biden administration. Facts that the government believes is being used in a misleading way. Consider the implications of that and how many governments in history have sought to silence people because they misused facts. And so it's crushingly predictable to see this expansion of the censorship system and the slippery slope that they found themselves on. It was a slippery slope that Meta recently got off. Meta decided to follow X and to restore free speech protections. Many of us were critics of Meta, but they have made substantial moves to restore free speech. In the meantime, some of these organizations cited earlier have cited that even true stories must be targeted. Stanford's project said, after all, true stories fuel hesitancy when it came to COVID. The Biden and the Facebook files, they remarked that they were under pressure from the Biden administration to remove negative information and opinions, to take them down, including humorous and satirical content. To their credit, some Democratic members of Congress have recently changed their position. Representative Ro Khanna read the Twitter files and said that it was a violation of the First Amendment principles. CEO Jack Dorsey reversed his position and apologized for what Twitter did and said that it did go too far and they yielded to the pressure of the government. Nick Clegg from the Facebook company said that we, quote, shouldn't have done it and that we felt the pressure of the Biden administration. Even James Baker, a former FBI employee and Twitter executive, admitted that there was need to find restraints to keep the government from exercising this type of pressure. The termination of funding for some of these efforts is an important start. But I wanted to end by talking about a new emerging threat. I just came back a couple days ago from speaking at the World Forum in Berlin, which is a collection of leaders from around the world. It was a distinctly anti-free speech gathering. The EU is now using the Digital Services Act to outside its borders to require censorship, including of American citizens. Congress needs to address that. To put it simply, the anti-free speech movement is going old school. They've lost social media, so they're looking to governments to shut it down. And I encourage you not to remain silent as Americans are pulled into this vortex of the DSA. This is an American crisis, but it can be our greatest American moment where we speak, regardless of party, with one voice in support of this indispensable right.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, when I was here